We're at Gamescom 2016, catching up with a 20-year-old Lara Croft, if you didn't know. Rise of the Tomb Raider first came out last year. You've obviously expanded the game with DLC ever since. You got the 20-year anniversary edition coming out on PS4. A lot of things going on. What are you showing here at Gamescom behind the scenes?
So we're showing a lot of the new content that we're making for the 20-year celebration version. So that is Blood Ties, which is an entirely new story-focused piece of DLC where you're going to actually get to experience the first time playable Lara Croft's Manor in the new timeline since post-reboot. Then on top of that, we have Lara's Nightmare, which is a very combat, short session-focused, exciting fight a bunch of different zombies inside the Manor experience. And then on top of that, we're showing off Endurance Co-op. So this is the first time we're bringing multiplayer to Rise of the Tomb Raider. So that two players are going to be able to run around through the Siberian forest trying to basically raid tombs together, which, what else you want to do inside of Tomb Raider? Raid tombs together in multiplayer.
Sounds very exciting and a huge package, if you will. I got to see some of the Blood Ties in there, really sort of a different atmosphere to it. So it's something that, it feels like a good fit for Tomb Raider. What do you think of that, sort of bringing that sort of narrative experience to the whole package?
So what was important for us when we thought about, 20 years of Tomb Raider, what do we want to connect together? And so the Manor was something that existed in the old games. It used to be your training grounds. It was something that we're starting to show you in Rise. I thought, well, this is the perfect place to celebrate both the old and the new of Tomb Raider and bring it all together in one package. And so we thought, okay, so what are we going to do in that Manor? And being able to explore Lara's history, her story, more about her parents, getting to learn those things felt like the right piece to have in that space. And then once we decided to do that, we were looking at what other technologies could we potentially, put together with this. And PSVR sounded really exciting to us because we have a lot of VR fans. We're tech geeks. We want to make sure that we're excited about VR. And so those two married together felt great. So you can actually play all of Blood Ties in VR.
Because I guess the normal experience of Rise of the Tomb Raider is not a good fit for VR.
It's a very action-oriented experience, and what we wanted to do is make sure that, PSVR is going to be a lot of people's first experience of VR, and we wanted to make sure that it was as comfortable and the right piece, the right experience for them to have. So making a piece of content that was thought of with VR from the beginning, instead of trying to put it on top of the existing experience, was where we wanted to start. So we focused very much on the comfort mode of that PSVR experience, where you can walk around through this, basically explore the Manor in a slower pace. You're not having to worry about things coming at you. You can just really feel like I'm in this space. I'm looking at Lara's Manor through her own eyes for the very first time, and that's where we wanted to focus our VR effort.
Of course, it's playable without VR as well.
Yes. The entire thing's playable without VR in third person, and then if you happen to have PlayStation VR, you're going to be able to play that whole experience from a first-person mindset inside that space.
It's interesting, though, because without sort of that element of threat from enemies, how do you go about creating the necessary tension, if you will?
Well, so what was important to us is have sort of that feeling of that old, almost adventure game feeling of wandering around in these puzzles and the mystery elements, and really playing into that feeling of the exploration without necessarily the danger, but the exploration part of sort of her story.
Interesting. And if we talk about Lara's Nightmare, what is that? It seems a little bit weird, almost like, How does it fit together? What's the basis of that, and what's the concept?
So with the DLC particularly, we love to have fun with the story. Now since the reboot in 2013, the new Lara's a very grounded person, right? She exists in our real world. Obviously, she sees fantastical things, but we sort of need to justify all of those things within our real world space. So we thought, let's put her actually in a dream, in a nightmare. At which point, sort of all bets are off. So we can bring in zombie-like creatures. We can bring in these floating skulls, all of which are references to sort of experience she's had in the past. When you have a bad dream, it's this mishmash of all this imagery that you've seen for the past. So it's all slightly tweaked from when you saw it the first time, but it all represents other things. So in this case, it's representing what's happening between her and her uncle, but now we get to use all that imagery in more fantastical ways. It's just sort of a fun, action-oriented experience.
Something that has been missing from the beginning is that multiplayer experience, and you've been biting your tongue not talking about, but you've always had this plan of bring. What do you feel why is it this sort of multiplayer that you're bringing into it, and why is it a good fit with the game?
So when we were looking at Rise, we wanted to make sure if we're going to have multiplayer in Rise, it's the right thing. We didn't want to just, attach multiplayer just to have it for its own sake. So we were looking at what is the best multiplayer experience that we could do. And we know we wanted players to actually work together. In general, the whole Tomb Raider sort of fan base is a very collaborative fan base. We get together for cosplays and all sorts of stuff. They love the game. We wanted players to actually enjoy each other together within that space. And so we were looking at our pieces, and Endurance was one of our first DLCs when we first launched Rise, and it focused on that whole exploration out in space and actually raiding tombs in order to get artifacts and extract with them. And that felt like that's the perfect place for us to add a multiplayer experience. So now you can raid tombs with your friends, and what better thing to do in Tomb Raider than multiplayer tomb raiding? I mean, it just perfectly fit.
Is it brand new content that's been sort of adapted to co-op or like tailored to co-op, or is it things that we've already seen that's been adjusted, or is it a little bit of both? Or
yeah, so with Endurance, the thing about the Endurance world is that every time you play, it's a procedurally based map. So we have a world that's made out of all these different hexes, and we rearrange the map every time that you play. And so that experience of being able to, I have no idea what this place is going to be. Maybe there's going to be a cave to the left or right. I don't know. We're going to just see what we can find. That was really important to us. We wanted to keep that and then bring a multiplayer experience into that, which of course we had to add things and change some pieces as a result of this to make sure that it works within a multiplayer space. But all of our focus has been about two players working together. So you share resources when you pick something up off the ground. As long as you're close to each other, you automatically share with one another. You can pick each other up when you get killed. So that piece, but it's still a survival mode. So it's still all about resources being scarce. You got to go find food. You got to make sure that you're warm, and that constant resource scarcity of, am I going to leave because I think I've got enough, or can I push forward one more day and try to last a little bit longer in this space, was really important that we maintain that.
That's very cool. It seems like you have a really nice package coming here for the 20th year anniversary. Is this the sort of the bow on top of Rise of the Tomb Raider? Is this the last things that you're bringing out?
So we like to call this is the most comprehensive package of everything that is Rise of the Tomb Raider. So we've got all the DLC for Xbox and PC, plus we've got all this new content with its Blood Ties, Lara's Nightmare, plus co-op Endurance, plus an entirely new difficulty mode for the entire campaign, our Extreme Survivor difficulty mode. 5 of the classic skins, like the old classic skins, because you have to play, which is frankly hilarious as you look at these crazy old low poly models in this brand new, super exciting, crazy detailed world of modern gaming. And then on top of all that, we're wrapping that piece together because that is sort of our celebration piece. So on PS4, you will get all of that at once, including PSVR. And then if you happen to have bought the game on Xbox or PC beforehand and you bought the season pass, all this new content, Blood Ties, Lara Croft's Nightmare, as well as co-op Endurance, you're going to get for free if you had the season pass. Because it is our celebration, we want to make sure all the players are going to be able to get a chance to have that. And that'll all happen on October 11th.
And even if you're old gen, or are you bringing any of this out to
all this content is going to be on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Great. Thank you so much.
The divine source has to be there.